Okay guys, welcome to this next tutorial. We're going to change tack a little bit here, and we're going to dive into the drawing mode or functionality of Fusion, and we're going to leave 3D modeling just for a little bit. So what I'm going to start off with is just the most simplest detailed drawing possible, which will be of the 1x1 flat Lego piece here that you see on the screen. So to create a detailed drawing of this, the first thing we need to do is to create a new file. So we come up to the folder icon, click on a new design. Actually, not new design, new drawing, sorry. So I'll close that. And new drawing from design. So if you've got the actual design here open that you want to create the drawing from, that's a good idea. So if you hadn't already got it open, you come over here. So new drawing from design, and over here you may be presented with some information asking, or a box asking for information about how you want to create it. The first thing to realize is that it's going to bring in all the parts that would be part of an assembly. Well, there's only one part here, so that stays checked. It will be a brand new drawing, but we're going to use a template that we have already created for you and loaded into Fusion. So I'm going to assume that you already have this template. If not, that's something I'll go through with you in class. So click on the KCC drawing template and then click on OK. It will then take a few seconds to then create the sheet, and then as you move your cursor over the sheet, you'll see it starts to give you a preview of perhaps a front view. So as you're moving that over, you'll see in the dialog box at the top here, you can change the orientation from front to top to whatever you want it to be. And let's say that we left it at front, but you can see that the drawing on the page is quite small. Even though the scale is quite large at the moment, it's already 5 times bigger than what it would really be. If we just had one picture on this page, it would look really small. So I'm going to even make that larger. I'm going to go, well, it's going to be in the enlargement scale. So let's try 10:1. 10 colon, oops, what have I done there? 2 colons, that's no good. Try that. And try that again. 10:1. And that's looking a better scale to me. The other thing to check is the style. So this one is just the visible outline. Next one is the edges and the hidden detail, solid shaded, and then shaded with hidden detail. So let's just go through those 4. So I'll click on the first one and then come and click somewhere over here on your page and then click OK. Now as you clicked OK, you can see it's just the outline and there's no hidden detail. So to change those properties to hidden detail, you double click on the view, change it to hidden detail, click on close, and now you can see we've got the outside and also the inside. And if we do that again, we've got 2 other options: shaded, which is just the outside shaded, but you can see it kind of gives you the idea that's conical shape, the stud there. And the last one is shaded with hidden detail as well. And you might say, well, it's a little bit dark, it's a bit hard to see what's hidden detail and what isn't. So that's the first thing I normally do when I bring a view in, the first view, is just to experiment with the different views and the different options there to see which one suits the purpose the most. So let's assume that we are producing this set of drawings, well, this particular drawing for, say, the manufacturer. Now the manufacturer, being skilled and well versed in reading drawings, won't need this to be shaded. So we'll go back to just visible and hidden edges, and that's sufficient now for our manufacturer. We might show you how we can section this later on, but for now we'll just leave that as is. Okay, so let's say that's our front view. Let's then project a top view directly above it. So to project a view, you come up to the drawing tab here, and you can see the second icon from the left says projected view. Click onto that, come down and click on the view that you wish to project from, and then as you move your cursor away, you'll see that It then projects a view to the right, to the left. We go directly above it, there's a top view. We go directly below it, there's a bottom view. And if you go out 45 degrees, you get a three-dimensional view in the different orientations, like so. So I'm just going to go top view, and then to get out of that mode, I hit escape on my keyboard. And then you've got to ask myself, well, do I need any other views there on the screen? So what I might do here is actually experiment a little bit with what we call sectioning. So rather than seeing this front view here just as an outline with hidden detail, let's do what we call a half section where we'll be able to see the exterior on the left hand side and the interior of the block on the right hand side. So to do a half section, follow these steps. The third icon on the left here, base view, projected view, section. Click on section. Then come to your object, and what we want to do is actually we need to determine some positions for some sectioning lines. So the first thing you do is just select the view that's going to be the parent view. So I select this top view, and then you can see I've got this arrow A sort of hovering around. And what I want to do here is draw an upside down back to front L in this position here, which is going to be which will determine our sectioning plane position. So what I've done there, I've just sort of hovered along the outside edge there until that triangle appeared. And triangle means halfway. So once it's hovered there, let's move my cursor slightly to the right so the A is slightly outside the drawing. Click once there. Move my cursor now to the center of the circle. You can see that circle, green circle goes around the center circle. I snap to there. Then drag it down. And lastly, click outside the drawing again. And to finish that off, we hit the Enter key. And you might see now a sectional view is now being projected away from it. So I'm just going to bring that view down here and then click OK. And then you can see this is the object that's being cut away with this line AA here, and this part's being removed and we can see what's inside. So this sectional view allows us to see inside, and because it's only been done on half the object, it also allows us to see the outside as well. Kind of makes this view here redundant. So what I might do, I'm going to select that view and hit delete, and I'm going to click on AA as well. Then I'm going to bring this view up, hopefully, and that's now going to be my front view. So I've got a front view, a front sectional view I should say, a top view, and let's experiment with what a side view would look like, seeing we've got some space over here. So once again, I'm going to go to project, select the view I project from. There's my side view, and why not, I might as well also use this three-dimensional view up here. Now that's interesting, I haven't seen that before, where we can actually turn sectioning on in 3D. I learn something every day. To get out of that mode, you hit the escape key, and I think we can actually control whether or not this 3D view is sectioned. If we double click onto it, and no, it doesn't give us that option. Oh, here it is here, inherit cut. If you uncheck that, it will then go back to being solid. Okay, so that's pretty clever. Well, I'm going to leave that on because it might be actually quite helpful. I'm going to click close there. Alright, so this being a detailed drawing, we need to include enough dimensions, enough information on the views so that the manufacturer can make it. So we're going to use the dimensioning tool. Up the top here, about midway across, you see the dimension tool. Click onto it. And you ask yourself, alright, which view or views need dimensions? Well, technically speaking, you shouldn't actually shouldn't dimension a sectional view. But realistically, this is the only view that really gives us that information, perhaps about the shell thickness. So I'm going to put one dimension onto this sectional view, but the other dimensions I'm going to try to keep on the left hand side of my front view here, away from everything else. I will have to put the diameter I should say, for that large circle onto that top view. No sense putting that onto the sectional view because it won't look like a cylinder. So let's do the cylinder first at the top here. So I hover my cursor over until you see it locks on to the diameter. I click once, I drag that away, and I make sure that my number is outside the drawing. Alright, so that's in at diameter 5. Let's do the overall length here. So I'm going to come down, and as I'm coming down here to try to do the overall length in front view, you can see it's only selecting half the object. If that's a problem, see it says 3.95, what you can do is move your cursor just to the end, and we get that green square, click once, move your cursor to the other end until you get the green square at the other end, click twice, and then drag the dimension away. Now, what you're trying to do here is come up with a unified standard of keeping the dimensions the same distance away from the outside of the object at all times. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit if it doesn't give me enough sort of variation, and I'm going to try to keep it about that far away, and then all my other dimensions I'm going to try to keep the same distance away, just to keep it unified and nice and neat and tidy. So I need to put the height in, so I'll need this one here, click once. If it's the entire line, you just have to click on the entire line, then drag away. And like I said, I'm trying to make it about the same distance, about there. And I need the height of the stud here as well. Now this is a good example of, if I click that line and drag out, and I'll just snap it to this other dimension by moving my cursor over it, notice there's a little problem here in that leader line actually is no longer separated like we've got up here from the outline. So when you have a leader line which is then attached to the edge of an object and it's confusing another dimension, it's best to do it a separate way. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So undo that, hopefully. There we go. Back to dimension. This time I click on the furthermost point that I want to dimension from, there to there, and as I go around, you should be able to hopefully lock that on to, where are you? There you are, there. Okay, there we go, there. See how it's locked onto that edge? And then drag out. And can you see the difference now in that we've got a gap here and a gap here, which is correct. So the rule is that the leader line, which is the line that's like an extension of the outline, must always have that small gap between the outline and the leader line. It helps to distinguish between the two of them. All right, let's have a look. We've got the length in, we've got the height of the body, if you like, we've got the height of the stud, we've also got the diameter of the stud on top. The last thing we need to have in there is the shell thickness. So I'm going to just select the thickness here, click once, drag it down, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit to try to make sure that these two lines are sort of equally spaced, which I think they have been. And that looks pretty good to me. The other thing we need to do now is to put in some center lines. So center lines, when you're looking down on top of a cylindrical object, we use this icon up here, the center mark. You see then as I come over this circular object, I click once and it automatically puts the center lines in like so. If it's a cylinder and we're looking at from the side view, we need to use the icon beside it for center line. Click one edge of a cylinder, click another edge of a cylinder, and you can see here that the actual center line has become part of the outline there from the section. So we'll just leave it in there, that little top bit. We won't bother about the rest of it because it'll kind of disappear in that edge. And we'll do the same thing over here. Click once for the outside, once for the outside, and you can see our center line. Center lines are long dash, short dash, long dash lines, and they are meant to distinguish the center of a circular feature or a circular piece of geometry. All right, that looks pretty good. Front view, top view, right side view. We probably don't really need this view, but we'll put it in there. And what we might actually do, why not? You're going to jump out of the Centerline and double click on this view. And I'm going to turn shaded on. And I wonder if that's going to help the viewer understand that much at all. I'm not too sure. I'm just going to leave it like that. We'll sort of see how we go. All right, hit save, of course. And once you've saved it, there we go, 1x1 flat drawing, is to then output this as a PDF document. So you come up here to the output, click onto the little button there. You've got a couple options of sort of output you want. Click on output PDF. And it says all sheets. If you have more than one sheet down the bottom here, you can do them at once, or choose just the current sheet. You can use the online PDF viewer, or I normally leave it unchecked. Make sure you've got this box here checked line weights. What that does, it assigns the correct line weights to outlines, hidden details, and all that sort of stuff. Click OK. It'll ask you where you want to save it to. So this is not to Fusion. This is to your Google Drive location. So I'm just going to make sure I get this in the correct folder. So Year 12 Industrial Graphics Skills, Engineering Drafting, Practical Demonstration 2020, and it names it the correct name, 1x1 Flat Drawing, version 1, PDF, and click on Save. And while it's doing that, I'm just going to duck over to Finder, and I'm going to find it over here as well. This is where good file management is so crucial. Demonstration 2020, I'm looking for the PDF, there is there. Double click on it, and if you've got Adobe Acrobat Pro or Reader, you'll then be able to open it and view the actual drawing. Now it looks all pretty good there. You can see the thick outline has come in, the thinner hidden detail lines have worked quite well. The only thing that I don't like is that this sectioning line is going through and down, but it's missing the A here, so somewhere that A's gone missing. Need to go back and check that out. And also that sectioning line should extend right out through the drawing here. So I'll go back there and have a look at what we can do to fix that, but we'll cover that again in a later lesson. Okay, so that's your introduction to your first detailed drawing of the most simplest part. Obviously, things get more complex as you get into the more complex parts. Okay, guys.